I think one thing that Jack Farb taught me, and I was a camper. I worked for Jack. He hired me to work at the J, but it was about organization. It was about treating people in the right way. And Jack he could be tough, but he appreciated if you did a good job. So it was an orientation not just about fitness and about the importance of organization, but it was about, lessons learned about treating how you treat people, how important it was to be prepared and to be ready. And as a young child into adulthood, it was a good stepping stone watching people behave. Kids don't learn a lot from what you say to them, but they learn about behavior. So from Jack and the people that surrounded Jack, like Con Miner and the people at the camp that he hired as counselors, you saw behavior that you wanted to emulate. But more than anything, I think, as someone who got very involved in athletics later on in life, it helped have a self-esteem. Because if kids can grow up and have a good self-esteem, but also a sense of humility that comes from sportsmanship. So self-esteem, humility, and also a sense of humor, because you're going to fail. But what was really interesting is how Jack would motivate young kids. We had different levels of swimming. There was the white stars, and then the green stars, and then the blue stars. Well, I was a white star teacher, and then a green star teacher. But what was really memorable is when a child was ready to swim in the deep water, and they only had to swim like 10 or 15 feet, but to see those kids be motivated to jump in the water and swim those 10 feet. And what was really interesting, and it was a sense of humility, it wasn't competition. It wasn't all the fitness programs, all the sports programs, it was about improvement. So I got the idea that we're always a work in progress. So kids were rewarded for their improvement, not for competition. And it was a good teaching lesson for me because later on in life, I was in law school and I got a job as a physical fitness teacher, physical education teacher at a Montessori school on Maine, 40th and Maine. Guess what principles I implemented? Testing and improvement. If you improved, you had the first test, 600-yard walk and run, pull-ups, sit-ups. If you improved, you were a hero in that class. I got that from Jack Farb. We're always a work in progress.